Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know What the News You Trust studio, sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Dale Minyo. Well, to kick off the week over the weekend, we've already had 65 hundredths of an inch of rain, and it seemed to came about the right pace to be able to utilize a lot of that. So we'll be glad for that, I'm sure, sometime later in the year. As we check out other notes, tomorrow midday we'll hear from the folks at Ohio Corn and Wheat about the latest thing affecting Ohio's corn and wheat industry. Joining me is Jenna Reese, and Jenna, it wasn't that long ago we talked about managing forests. There really is a part two to this, and I'm going to say, for the lack of better terms, it's managing your available advisor resources. Tell us more.
Secondary portion of managing your woodlands is making sure that you're working with certified professionals. If you've followed all the steps for part one of managing your woodlands, then you are likely ready to harvest your timber and sell that timber. For other commodities, you would go to a grain merchandiser to help get the best price for your commodity. It's no different with timber. You're going to want to work with certified forestry professionals who know the markets, who know the industry, who can get you a better price than you can on your own, and also help establish relationships within the industry to do this long term.
What are the kind of things we're talking about? Master loggers here?
Yes, specifically master loggers. Logging is the most deadly profession in the United States. The only way to ensure that you're working with a trained logging professional is to make sure they're an Ohio master logger, and that's through the Ohio Forestry Association. These people are receiving technical training, safety training. They're carrying workers' comp. They're trained in first aid, CPR. They've really gone above and beyond to make sure that they are certified professionals who will do the job well, who will do it safely, and who will do it in compliance with pollution abatement regulations.
And like lots of other things, you can get a second opinion from another master logger just to see how things stack up.
Absolutely. One of the resources that Ohio Forestry Association provides is an updated list on our website of all the master loggers throughout the state of Ohio. You can search them individually or find them listed by county, and that's at ohioforest.org.
ohioforest.org. I've been visiting with Jenna Reese, Executive Director of the Ohio Forestry Association. Let's update the forecast, brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's that update.
Mild temperatures in to start the week over Ohio. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at that Ohio Ag weather update. Moving forward, we are going to be seeing the next couple of days near and above normal on temperatures. I think once we get into midweek, we pull back ever so slightly. Honestly, temperatures tomorrow should be just a few degrees cooler than what we're putting together today. Decent sunshine today and tomorrow. Wednesday, we're going to have to bump up our next round of moisture, I think, a little bit. Clouds increasing Wednesday through the day, and we can see some rain shower action overnight Wednesday night through Thursday. Right now, penciling in anywhere from a tenth to 3/4 of an inch with coverage nearly 100% of Ohio. Behind that, we're a bit cooler to finish the week for Thursday night, Friday, and into early Saturday before another surge of warm air comes late Saturday afternoon and evening, right on through Sunday. 100% rain coverage there with totals anywhere from 1/4 to 1 inch across Ohio. Behind that second round of moisture, we cool off for the start of next week. Monday the 10th, right on through probably Valentine's Day, we're going to be seeing normal to slightly below normal temperatures. Maybe a little bit of sloppy wet snowflake action in there. I think that's most likely toward Valentine's Day itself. We follow that little wave up with additional cold air for the weekend of the 15th and 16th. And it may take now until well into the week of the 17th before we start to see good warm air surge this direction. It's definitely getting pushed back a little bit in the west. That's the way your forecast is stacking up. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. 23 states joined the Iowa Pork Producers Association on Wednesday last week in an appeal to the Supreme Court challenging California's animal housing law created by Proposition 12. The industry continues to fight the law, which they say is discriminatory because it regulates pig farming practices nationwide. On January 3rd of this year, the Iowa Pork Producers Association appealed the Supreme Court after the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit rejected a legal challenge to Proposition 12, alleging the law discriminates against pork producers across the country. Now, on Wednesday of this week, we had 23 states, including Ohio, that filed an amicus brief with the Supreme Court in support of the appeal. The challenge stems from a previous Supreme Court ruling on the case, which determined California's law does not violate the Commerce Clause. However, 5 of the 9 justices in that case said Proposition 12, which enacts a pork sales ban on farms across the country that doesn't follow the state's animal housing regulations, could impose a substantial burden on interstate commerce under what is known as the Pike balancing test. The test is used by the Supreme Court to determine whether state laws are unconstitutional because they violate interstate commerce. The Supreme Court ruled against the National Pork Producers Council in 2023 in its challenge to Proposition 12. In that case, the plaintiff did not make a discrimination claim. The new challenge, now backed by the 23 states, asked the court to consider whether lower federal courts should consider all Supreme Court justices' opinions to determine the majority position on a legal issue. Convincing the Supreme Court to consider a case typically faces long odds. The court accepts, on average, about 80 cases a year out of hundreds of appeals. Usually, those cases that feature a split on legal opinions among lower courts are reviewed by the Supreme Court. In their brief filed with the Supreme Court on Wednesday, 23 states asked the court to reverse the Ninth Circuit and enjoin the enforcement of the law. The states argue Proposition 12 and other laws like it could violate the Import-Export Clause as well as the Full Faith and Credit Clause. The state said Proposition 12 could be considered a tax on other states. This one we're just going to have to ride out and see how it turns out. Well, on Friday, the all cattle and calves in the United States as of January 1 totaled 86.7 million head, 1% below that of a year ago. The all cows and heifers that have calved at 37.2 million head, slightly below last year. The beef cow portion of that was 27.9 million head, down 1%. The milk cows at 9.35 million head were up slightly from the previous years. Beef replacement heifers were 4.67 million head, down 1%, and milk replacement heifers at 3.91 million head were down 1% from the previous year. The 2024 calf crop in the United States was estimated at 33.5 million head, down slightly from the previous year's calf crop, according to USDA's NASS report. Back with more after this.
Here's the scoop. Soybeans are fueling Ohio's dairy farms, one glass of milk at a time. Nationwide, dairy farms use the equivalent of 229 million bushels of soybeans every year. Plus, high oleic soybeans boost milk fat and yield, making farms more profitable. From the fields to your fridge, soybeans power the farms that feed families. Brought to you by Ohio soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Attention Ohio businesses. Join the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation for the 2025 Ohio Safety Congress and Expo, April 16th through the 18th at the Greater Columbus Convention Center. Connect with industry experts, have hands-on training sessions, explore cutting-edge safety solutions with over 300 exhibitors. Whether you're looking to reduce risks, enhance productivity, or build a stronger safety culture, the Ohio Safety Congress is for you. Register at www.ohiosafetycongress.com. It's free. Let's dig a little deeper into what we saw in Friday's USDA report. The USDA's cattle inventory report shared exactly what we expected it would. There are fewer beef cows in the U.S. today than there were a year ago, which pushes the U.S. beef cow herd to yet another historic low, according to DTN livestock analyst Shaylee Stewart. Of the top 10 beef-producing states in the U.S., the year-over-year changes in each of their individual beef cow inventories varied. Texas was up 1%, Oklahoma up 1%, Missouri up 2%, Nebraska up 3%, South Dakota down 3%, Kansas steady, Montana up 1%, Kentucky down 4%, and Florida steady, while North Dakota was up 1%. So while record high feeder cattle prices were the market's norm through most of 24 and certainly have been thus far in 25, cow-calf producers have been reluctant to be overly aggressive about restocking their herds, as the business in which they are operating is still laced with plenty of challenges such as high interest rates, expensive operational costs, and the continued concern of drought, all of which can easily erode profitability. Needless to say, Friday's report should quiet the murmurs that there has been some slight growth in the cow herd. Not only was the total number of beef cows lower for January of this year than it was compared to a year ago, but the number of beef replacement heifers was also down 1% compared to a year ago, which indicates that the vast majority of heifer calves are still being marketed as feeder calves as opposed to being kept back as replacement heifers. Traders should undeniably find Friday's report to be bullish, kindly for the cattle complex. We'll be back with a look at the grain complex after this.
Over 2,400 pieces of quality equipment will be up for grabs during the Ritchie Brothers Great Lakes Regional Sales Event on February 12th and 13th. Don't miss out on this huge selection of vehicles and machinery suited to a wide variety of industries and applications, including truck tractors, van trucks, pickup trucks, refrigerated trailers, excavators, flatbeds, and more. Level up your buying experience by taking advantage of our pre-sale in-person inspections. Registration for the sale is free and online only. Visit rbauction.com to get started. Again, that's rbauction.com.
Today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. For information on marketing your soybeans to LDC, call them at 574-566-2113. Now with the analysis, here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets completed an interesting session on Friday, trading lower on tariff risk before, well, oddly enough, beans came back and traded a little bit positive for a while. What was going on in the marketplace on Friday? Lots of trade policy uncertainty. The soybean market firmed when there was a little bit of a story that came out at midday that said the tariffs were going to be pushed back until March 1st, going on Mexico and Canada. And now we're sorting through the weekend that had a whole host of different headlines out there. President Trump on Saturday, February 1st, saying that tariffs at 25% are going on Canada, on everything into the United States except energy, that's 10%. Mexico, 25% on everything. But again, going back to the headline that hit on Friday that said it was March 1st, is that still in play? Honestly, the answer is right now, we don't know. The tariffs are a done deal, apparently, but whether they start today, tomorrow, the next day, last Saturday, yesterday, who knows? That's going to be the big story here. There was a macro market major trading day last Friday. Crude oil spent most of the day trading lower. Gold futures set a new all-time high, but slipped back to unchanged. The cash market holds good gains after setting record highs. As we take a look at additional needs on the demand side, the U.S. may need additional soy oil due to diminished Canadian canola oil imports. That's the thing that we don't really know how to look at just yet. What's the impact on the balance sheet of any kind of tariff? Because now we know they're coming. We don't know exactly when. The EIA biofuel feedstock report showed the U.S. consumed 1.192 billion pounds of soy oil in the month of November, down 135 million pounds from October, but up 27 million pounds year on year. The unknown of how quickly Canada, Mexico, and China will retaliate against the U.S. in response to Trump tariffs may also be something that the market wants to trade heavily today. So buckle up. Could be a wild ride. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Today's market's brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Quick look back to Friday's close. December corn was down 4, November beans down 2.5, and July wheat down 6 1/4. Overnight at the open, March corn 475.5, down 6.5. May 486.5, down 6.5. December new crop down 3 at 457 1/4 cents. The March beans are 1035 3/4, down 6 1/4. May 1051 1/4 cents, down 6 1/4. November new crop down 4 3/4 at $10.46 1/4 cents. The July wheat is $5.80 1/4 cents, down 4. September down 3.5 at $5.94 1/2 cents. In livestock, February cattle up 12 cents at $204.60. April, $202.30, up 80. And June up 92 cents at $196.70. February, not the same on the hogs, 84.17, down 20. April, down $1.57 at $90.35. And May, 94.52, down $1.07. Now remember, our report on the cattle numbers said that we probably would see stronger numbers. April cattle, $275.12, up $2.80. May, $273.12, up $2.82. August, $273.80, up $2.47. And again, the markets will be later today to see what the real reaction is. But going into the report, things were positive. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dale Minyo. This is the Ohio AgNet.